Players, I hope you guys are fabulous. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tumi and this is Young Broken Fabulous. So guys, today I am going to be talking about mental health. I asked you guys to ask me a few questions and I'm going to be talking about mental health based on my own condition and my own experiences. So I'm going to be answering questions that I've got from my Instagram poll. I did say I want to talk about mental health because it's one thing that I take very seriously, because it's something that's close to home. If you've watched my video in the Bonya's house, a couple of videos on my IGTV and the article that I did with Lazanokule, you know that I have bipolar disorder. I will put links of the videos in my description box so you have reference, and I will keep the conversation going. Every month I'll do one video about mental health. This month is October, Mental Health Awareness Month in South Africa, and I thought it's perfect. Let's start the conversation and keep it going. I've personally taken it upon myself to normalize talking about mental health and spreading awareness and actually making people feel that they're not alone. So that's why I talk about it. I know it's not an easy topic, and it's something that actually a lot of people are actually still in the dark about. That's what I've realized. Like, so many things are accepted now, but mental health, people are still a bit shaky about it, and mental health as a whole, in terms of all the mental health illnesses. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. First and most important question that I got was how are you doing? A lot of people ask how are you doing in terms of, like, it's polite. We are taught to say how are you doing, and we just expect, like, you're not even asking genuinely, you're just asking because it's a norm to ask a person how they're doing. But this person, witness, is asking me really how am I doing. To be honest, I'm in a good state mentally in terms of my mental illness. I feel like I'm in a good place. I am not too anxious, I'm not too stressed, I'm sleeping and everything. So yeah, that I'm okay. But I think a lot of people are experiencing year-end fatigue and year-end burnout, and I won't lie, I'm experiencing it. I'm so tired. Like, my brain is tired. I just wanna get my December holidays and come back refreshed. But at this point, I'm literally burning the midnight oil. Everything is finished. So yeah, that's really how I'm doing. But yeah, life is good. I'm grateful, I'm happy, I'm doing well, man. So yeah, thank you for that question. Next, guys, I like saying next. I don't know, next. Maybe I should be like, I don't know. Let me shut up because I don't know what I'm saying. What happens to you if you don't take your medication? That's going to be actually a topic next month. I'm going to be talking about bipolar disorder medication and experience, and I'm going to do a story time about my worst, like my worst episode to date. But to answer your question in short, what happens when I don't drink my medication? In fact, I forget to drink my medication like once, because I never, guys, that's one thing I do. I never do not drink my medication. I can go out, I never don't drink my medication because I know the importance of my medication. So if I ever, like, say for instance, I'm tired, I'm working till late, then I fall asleep, the thing that will remind me that I didn't take my medication, I have nightmares. I have terrible nightmares, and I think that's my anxiety translated into dreams. Then I just have terrible nightmares. I can't sleep, I'm tossing a lot, and I wake up like when I wake up in the morning, I feel like I'm not there. I don't know how to explain it, but I think also it's the dependency of my body on the pills. Maybe I have withdrawal or something if I do forget to drink my pills, but it has hardly happened. I remember the only time I've forgotten is when I was at my grandmother's place and I forgot to take my pills from my place, and my dad could only come with my pills the next morning. The whole night I was having nightmares. People couldn't even sleep properly. But yeah, that's what happens if I don't drink my pills over a long period of time. Like what a long period of time, then all screws break, everything just breaks. So it's either I will, because obviously like day-to-day life has its own stresses, so my medication helps me to have a level mind and deal with things like how any normal person would deal with everyday stressors. Like every day at work there's bound to be something that is stressful, or there are deadlines. There's just a lot of things that are happening in life, especially as an adult. I always even tell Sanjusa this, don't like, in adulthood there's never a day where there's nothing going wrong, so we should actually appreciate everything going right, because there's never a day in adulthood where things are going right. But if I'm not drinking my pills, trust me, I'm gonna be a wreck. I'm going to be having anxiety attacks. I either will slip into depression or I'll slip into my manic episodes, and then next thing, I've bought the whole of the mall. Now I'm depressed. Now, like, it's just going to be, it's just gonna trigger episodes. Let me just say that. Let me just say I'm going to be irritable, I'm going to be depressed, I'm not going to be as stable as I am when I'm drinking my pills consistently. So yeah, I think that answers your question in short. But when I do the story time, I'll explain to you how the stages gradually come, because it doesn't just happen one day you don't drink your pills then you are instantly into a relapse, but it happens over time. And yeah, so that's what happened. How did you handle being in a toxic environment, home being my situation, while battling with depression, if you have ever had any? So I do, I suffer from bipolar type 2 disorder, so I do have major depressive episodes. So I have a couple of toxic environments, but my family has never been, home has never been a toxic environment for me, but I've been at a workplace that has been a toxic environment in terms of my depression, because it just made it worse. So what I did about it, guys, remember, as adults, I'll keep on saying this, like, you don't have a choice. You don't just say, you know what, I don't want it. Even if you are in high school, you can't say, I'm gonna change schools because this school is toxic for me. Like, how many schools are you gonna change? Because there's always gonna be a problem somewhere. So that's where I'm touching on the toxic part of things. Toxic things that you have control over is friends. You can literally cut out friends that are toxic for you or whatever. But with family, it's more difficult because you stay with those people in the house. So one thing you can do is have a conversation to actually what is it, like, to actually talk. Okay, you know what, let me just use simple English because the word is not coming, but basically open the conversation up with your family members to make them realize how they are making the space toxic for you. Or if that doesn't work, because it doesn't work most of the time, people want to change their behavior to accommodate you, so you need to change your mentality towards your home space. That's what I did. The video, I will link it in the description. I'm not sure if I can add a card for a video that's outside of YouTube, but I talked about how in my last workplace I was in such a dark place, and it was so bad that I had I had to do something, because no one was going to change their behavior to accommodate my feelings and my depression. So I had to do something about it. So what I did was I made sure that I focus on things that were positive for me. I knew my home environment was very positive, so I held on to that. And I literally, people say this all the time, you see motivational speakers say this all the time, but guys, gratitude is the best depression medication. Be grateful. Make sure, even if you repeat things every day, I'd find myself saying, God, I'm thankful I have legs, I have arms, I have food, I have electricity, I actually have a job that pays. It's not the best, but I have a job that pays. I'm learning, I'm growing. So I just focus so much on the positive that to drown out the negative. It's not easy, but with practice it actually makes things better. Because right now, another thing, because right now you're saying, okay, my family is so toxic. Every day you wake up, you're already thinking they're gonna be so toxic. You know they're going to be toxic. Every day you know they're gonna be toxic, or the environment is gonna be toxic for you. So what are you doing to escape it? Are you spending more time with people that actually take your mind off it? So if you have friends, or if you have an escape, like something that can help you, get out of the situation and say, you know what, I get this amount of hours to be out of the situation, so I'm gonna hold on to that. Then when I come back home, I know what to expect, but I'm not gonna let it sink, because it's something I have no control over. Another thing that makes us very depressed is that we try to control things that we have no control over. You have no control over people's behavior, but you have control over your own emotions and your own mind. This is why I have this tattoo here. You are in control. I actually got it when I was still at my last job, because I had to remind myself that you are in control of how you feel, you're in control of your mind, you're in control of your emotions. You are not in control of other people. You can't control how other people act. You can't control if like one person is rude. You can't control that, but you are in control of your mind and your emotions and how you feel. So just focus on yourself more than the situation, and I think that's the best way I've dealt with it. And for me, write down on paper everything you are grateful for, everything you look forward to. Write it down. And the last one, I was at my psychiatrist all the time, because I used to slip into depression or major anxiety. So what I did, like when I went, he was like, you know what, this place is very toxic for you. That we have acknowledge that it's toxic, but we have to be realistic as well. You don't just leave a job, and I'm not someone who's just gonna leave. I was still building my career, and I was not gonna burn a bridge. Excuse me, I was not gonna burn a bridge. I'm just that kind of person. I persevere. I think my husband says this all the time. Funny enough, my middle name is Perseverance, but I persevere. And I never want to act out of emotion, because at the end of the day, even my mom used to say, if you leave, you're gonna be more depressed because now you can't afford your life. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna focus on the positive. So every day I wrote myself a letter. I was like, God, help me. This is where I'm gonna be when I get out of this situation, but while I'm here, I'm going to do my best to focus on things that are positive. And then my psychiatrist also said, so you have to be applying for jobs, not that you have to be now withdrawn from this situation, because you're still at the job. So you have to do your job, and I was doing my job as best as I can. Yes, I was getting depressed, I was crying every Friday, but I did it to the best that I could at that emotional state while I applied for another job. And I made sure that I don't leave this in a negative space, that when I go to the next job and they call and find out, oh, she was, I like, that's one thing I really emphasize. just find strength in other things so that you don't ruin the current thing, even your family relationships. Because it's not that, maybe sometimes it's not even that they want to be toxic, it's just how they are. So you never want to also ruin your family relationship because they can't understand you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get out of the situation, because you should, but if it's not in the books right now, find a way to deal with it in, I'm just saying a lot of things, but find a way to deal with it by focusing on your boxes that are positive. This question is so difficult. Let me read it. How did you talk to your family about it? I'm misunderstood, going through the motions by myself. So, girl here, okay, so she's going through the most because she's going through depression alone, and she feels like she's being misunderstood. And she's a black girl like me, and we know for a fact, like, guys, you've seen the thread in black families, mental health is not really something that we're familiar with. Like, if they're providing food, like clothes, paying your fees and stuff, like, you saying you're depressed is kind of like offensive to them. So I think that's one issue, that introducing that thing, like saying that I'm actually depressed, will bring a lot of questions that you can't really answer. Because mental health sometimes, like especially depression and anxiety, sometimes it's not as simple as I'm depressed, because sometimes you are even more depressed because the emotions are just there and you don't know how to deal with them. Yes, depression is often linked to maybe school is too much, then you start feeling so depressed that you can't get out of it, or work, or a lot of factors can trigger it. But for a lot of people, like, something bad might happen and they deal with it properly. But if you're suffering from depression, it's not as simple. I was just explaining, like, kind of the background in terms of why introducing it to your family is going to be a big thing. For me, to answer your question, I've never actually sat down with my family and said, you know, guys, I'm depressed, or they've only ever seen the result. Again, there's a symptom and then there's a result. So like, while you are going through the depression and everything, you will deal with it alone. I remember my first depression was in high school, and I didn't tell anyone because it was going to come with questions like, why are you depressed, da 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 da, and then it was gonna become lectures, and you don't want to be sick and be lectured at the same time. So that's what happened. But now what happens is, when you're depressed and like it gets worse, you start getting sick. I started getting sick a lot. I lost a lot of weight and whatever. So that was the result, and that's what they saw. But telling them, saying like I'm depressed, I never said it. Then in first year, I started like having episodes. I used to call my mom crying, couldn't sleep at night, couldn't sleep for days. Then I just went to a general practitioner who booked me in for a 2-week stay at a psychiatric ward. So then, like, they came to see me and everything, and it became a known thing that I have, like, after my mom sitting with my psychiatrist and my psychiatrist diagnosing me, that's how she knew that I have bipolar disorder. But say, for instance, when I'm depressed, like when I was working, I used to tell her whatever is frustrating me, but I never really said I'm depressed. And then when I had a mental breakdown, then it was the result. Then that's when they will come, you are sick, you had a mental breakdown. But I've never actually had the conversation when I'm depressed, or that, hey, you know what, I'm really depressed, I need help. So I wouldn't know how to best advise you, but I would advise you to actually have the conversation so that they don't deal with the end. Like, you know how people always say, there's this thread I read which is very true, like, suicide is not what is it, it's something along the lines of suicide is the result of, and then depression is this, like you their symptoms, and then at the end you commit suicide and everybody's shocked, like, but why would you do that? Because you were fine, you didn't say anything. So I'm not saying that you're going to commit suicide, but I'm saying have those conversations so that maybe they can help you. But if they don't help you, don't take it personally, because like I said, I'm having these conversations because a lot of families and a lot of people, even friends, they don't understand mental illness, because it doesn't logically make sense right now. But get like professional help as well, and maybe if you go with your mom or your dad or whatever to the psychiatrist appointment or psychologist, maybe the professional will explain it better to them. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know, because I never had this conversation as well, for the very same reasons that you might have. But I never had the conversation. Firstly, it was because it's gonna be a lecture. Secondly, like after my other depressive episodes, I was just not dealing with, I just didn't want to deal with like people telling me you must be grateful, you must be this. Yes, it's good advice and I'm trying, but you know, if if you tell someone like I'm really depressed and they start giving you like 10,000 solutions, it doesn't help you. So I think that's why I've never had the conversation, and I've always had Sandy so to actually help me deal with these things. So I can't really give you the best advice, but for me it's slowly introduce the subject, or go get help, and then get the person helping you to help you introduce the conversation as well. This lady just met someone, they just started dating, and she also suffers from bipolar disorder, and she told the guy that like what she suffers from. So the guy understood and everything, but she says, I sometimes feel like when I have an anxiety attack, it overwhelms him. How do you handle your down days with hubby? So how do I handle my down days with my husband? When I'm having down days, I can't be thinking of how I handle myself around him, because it's not something I have control over. But my best advice right now is you must understand that this person is still new to this, and obviously, like I always say, mental illnesses are not things that people are talking about openly. So it's not like HIV where you can get pamphlets everywhere, like where there were whole campaigns where like people were being taught about it actively. Mental health is something that is from our communities. We just know that somebody was bewitched, or they were too clever, and then happened. So maybe you might meet someone, because it's the case with me and Sandy. So like when I met him, he had never dealt with anyone that had a mental health issue, and I introduced it to him. He was still like not understanding a lot of things. Yes, he was supportive, he wanted to be there for me, but he still was not understanding a lot of things. So when I had anxiety attacks and stuff, for him it was kind of foreign. But with time, because he made the effort to actually learn and understand and get my point of view and stuff, he got to be better. So when I'm having down days, I don't have to think about also, oh, now I have to act this certain way in front of him, because he understands and he's the only person that can help me actually. So I look to him for support. But right now, with your current boyfriend, partner, you have to be, every time you're okay, you have to teach him and advise them and say, when I'm going through this, please do this for me. Or if I'm having an anxiety attack, if you come close to me, for me it makes it worse. Like it feels like you're crowding me, so please don't come close to me, or that kind of thing. Or when sometimes I'll have like anxiety attacks because I will think one thought and then like thousands, like say for instance one problem occurs. I'll make a practical example. I was driving on the highway, then you know, the little stones hit my windscreen, it cracked, I got it fixed, fine, I have insurance. Then the very like exactly a week after, the same thing happened and I had a chip. So the last one was exactly the same. It was a chip and then it cracked immediately, but this one was just a chip. But I was already thinking it's gonna crack, now I have to claim again from insurance. When you claim, then I think of all the possibilities. When you claim again, now my insurance premium next year is gonna be around, and then I start having the anxiety attack. I can't breathe, I'm dizzy, and mind you, that time I'm still driving. So I call him and I say, babe, I can't breathe, so he can hear that this person is having an anxiety attack. So what he does, and I think he also learned this while he was researching, he starts asking me random questions about something else, and I'll get annoyed, but I'll keep answering, and then next thing I'll see, oh, I'm calm now. It's just like getting my brain off like what's actually causing me to go AWire, and then it will be fine. So I know who I will always call when I have my anxiety attacks. So from my advice is that it will take a lot of teaching, and he should be prepared as well to learn and meet you halfway and understand and take the initiative to learn. But you must, on your side, take the initiative to have the conversations that are hard, and to explain to him what your triggers are, and to explain to him that sometimes you don't know what your triggers are and it might just happen randomly, but like this is how you would like to be helped. I think that's my best advice. Yeah, that's actually my best advice. A lot of people actually ask me this a lot because I've done this questionnaires a lot, and people are always like, how does Sandiso deal with this? And then like, we feel like your husband is so understanding. It took time for him, but he also made an effort, but it took time for him. So don't look at Sandiso and want your husband or your boyfriend or your partner to be the exact same. Don't do that, but make sure that you are with someone that's willing to make the effort to learn, and you are also having the conversations and teaching them as well. I know that, but it's our responsibility to teach them. I would imagine like if someone has diabetes, they will teach their partner about insulin, whatever, so you do the same. Then with time I think he will adjust, and yeah, that's that on that. Next time I'm not doing an advice thing because I don't know if I'm really good at giving advice. Yes, I try, because I'm talking from my point of view, and this is something I really actually want to address. Guys, please bear in mind, I'm talking from my own experience and my point of view. It doesn't mean that my point of view is always correct. You are open to take what you think can help you and reject what you think doesn't work for you. I am not a medical care practitioner as well, so you have to understand that, excuse me, so you have to understand that you take what I say, but I always emphasize that it's always best to seek professional help, because those people are talking from a professional point of view and not from a personal point of view. Obviously some medical care practitioners are actually not the best at that job, but it's better to seek professional help than just take what I have to say. What I have to say can be helpful and it can make you feel like you're not alone, but it's not actually medical advice. But yeah, man, I think that's that. Yo, my arm, guys, I've started gymming. I'm changing my life. And also now I'm suspecting that it's my pills that are making me this fat. The horrors. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. With the comments, guys, I loved what you guys did in the UTI video. By sharing your experiences, you made other women feel like they're not alone in the peeing themselves business. So if you have mental health advice, if you have questions, if you have experiences to share so that no one feels alone, please share them in the comment section. I really appreciate the engagement. I really appreciate you sharing your experiences so no one ever feels like they're alone. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for 1K subscribers. Yes. Yeah, I wish I could dance. I can't even dance now because my arm is even painful. I keep on saying to my husband, I think my arm is broken, but it's just a swollen muscle. I can feel that. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video and it was helpful. Next video I'm doing on mental health will be next month. I'm going to be doing a story time about my worst, like to date, my worst episode, and I'm going to be talking about bipolar medication. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.